Good morning, one and all, from the nice and sunny but freezing UK. It's about -1 here this morning, so I'm just getting out in the field and doing a little video, get the day started the right way. Nice little bit of a walk in the nice crisp air. I hope your morning's going as well as mine is. Today I'm going to do a little video in the continuation of my series. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're a returning guest, welcome back. Lovely to have you along. I appreciate you spending your time with me. So today's video, we're going to be talking about something that I've been putting off. And today's video is bound to upset a few people, and that's cool. This is all about starting conversations and about my perspective. Your perspective might be completely different, and that's cool. These videos in this series is about starting conversations and being able to have conversations without having to go out and destroy each other, which is what's been happening lately. So hopefully with this subject we can start a conversation, and you might agree, you might disagree, but that's cool. That's what it's all about. So if you whatever your viewpoint is, please leave a comment in the comment section. That's cool. And today we're talking about education and the education system. Now, to give you a bit of background into who I am, what I'm, why I have the viewpoints that I do, I'll give you a little bit of background about my perspective and why I think this way. Now, I didn't have a good time at school. I didn't enjoy it. Back when I was young, I did an IQ test and they wanted to send me to a special school for gifted children. So that was a long time ago, obviously. But I never enjoyed school. It bored me. When I was, I think, grade 4, I think, in Australian school, I was beaten up by a teacher along with a bunch of other kids in the class. Didn't have a good time in high school either. I hated it. Couldn't stand it. Don't get me wrong. I didn't go to just a sort of plain vanilla public school. I went to a private school, religious private school, and I didn't like it. I hated it. It bored me. And my view is that I've learned more outside of school than I ever did at school, and I think I learned how to learn outside of school, not at school as well. But each person has their own viewpoint, and they're equally valid. For me to say that school's bad is stupid, because it benefits some people. It doesn't benefit everyone. Sorry. But so that's my experience. So I didn't want my kids to go to an ordinary school and have a normal education through the curriculum, because I didn't think it would benefit my children. Now, a friend of mine introduced me to someone at a party a few years ago, and he said, "Chris, tell this guy how you're homeschooling your children." We decided to homeschool. So we do something called hack schooling or unschooling, or we did, where we follow the child's interest, and that's we integrate learnings into our everyday life through their interests. So the children used to collect these little animal figurines when they were young, and we integrated learning about animals. So what animal is this? Lion, what do they eat? Where do they come from? What continent do they live on? So we were able to integrate learning into our everyday life, just going through the day. Mathematics we do when we go to the supermarket, so the kids have to add up the shopping, those kind of things. So that's the way we were educating our children. We got to a point where it got too much, so we wanted to find a school that fit with the way that we wanted to educate our children, and we found one called Summerhill, called a democratic school that follows the interest of the children. So not everyone is scholastic. Not everyone benefits from sitting in a class and doing lessons. Some people do, and that's cool. Other people, they learn with their hands. They learn by doing. Other people, they learn by seeing, watching a video or visually. Other people learn by reading. So the problem I find with education as it stands now, is it's kind of hard for the education system and educators, the teachers, and I'm not trying to take anything away from teachers, but it's difficult for educators to teach a class full of 30 kids who learn in different ways. The curriculum can't possibly integrate all those different ways of learning into the curriculum, because some are going to benefit from one way, some are going to benefit from another, and the crossovers would be too big to try and integrate all that learning in a class so big to follow the curriculum. Some kids are going to get left behind, which is what we've seen. Other kids that who take on that knowledge easily are going to get bored. So I view the education curriculum. If you go back and have a look at the history of education curriculum, where it started, who started it. at the beginning of the industrial age, people were educated so that they were just smart enough to run the machinery, and not too smart, but the people who were a little bit smarter became the foremen and the managers, and but the education system was never designed for us to thrive in. It was designed to keep us educated enough so that we could fill our role in society, which is to keep the cogs of the machinery working. And that was about it. You have higher education, higher learning, like university courses and such. And there's a lot of debate about that at the moment. With should university be free, or should it be paid for? Now, as far as university goes, I mean, look, the world has changed so much. How it used to be. When I was growing up, my parents always said, get a good education, go to university, get a degree, go out to the world, get a good job, get paid well, have a family, buy a house, get married, die. The old school story. But does an education, a higher education like a university degree, guarantee you a better wage? Well, no, the world has changed, but our education system haven't changed to keep up with those changes in our society and now in the way that the world works now. Increasingly the world's going more digital, so computer courses probably would benefit people, and robotics as well. The world's becoming more automated, and a lot of the jobs that we've trained for over the years. I'm a chef. I've been a chef for 30 years. And now they've even got robots that can cook. So how long am I going to be employed for? Education. I left school when I was 15. I didn't like it, as I've said, and I went out into the world. Now, by all rights, with the way that I was always taught, there's that if you don't have a good education, you can't make it in this world, and you can't make anything of yourself, and that's clearly incorrect. So I was telling this gentleman I was introduced to at a party about how I was educating my children, and he said, "Send your kids to school, or they'll never amount to anything. They'll never succeed." And I was like, "Okay, well, what do you mean?" And he said, "Well, they'll never be successful if they don't have a good education." I said, "Okay, well, what's your definition of success?" And he said to me, "Well, I'm a lawyer. I earn $60,000 a year." And I was like, "Okay, cool, congratulations. So your definition of success is a high wage?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Okay. Let me ask a couple of qualifying questions first. What age did you leave school?" And he said 26. And I said, "Okay, great. And how much student debt did you incur going and getting that education?" He said £100,000. I said, "Okay, great. So you left school when you were 26 and you had £100,000 worth of student debt, and you earn $60,000 now." And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay. Well, I left school when I was 15. I earn $100,000 and I've got no student debt. Who's more successful, you or me?" And he said, "No, well, that's not the same. It's a stupid." And I was like, "Well, you just qualified success as being a high wage. So by your metrics, I'm more successful than you, and I left school when I was 15. I don't have the student debt that you do." So he walked away in a huff, not wanting to confront what I just said. But the reality is that the university education has to be paid for by somebody. So why should I pay for someone's university education? I've never gone to university. I never wanted to. Not interested. For people that do, good on you. Great, go. But knowing when you go to university and you decide that you're going to go and do a course, you know the costs that you're going to incur. And you sign up for it. If you think that the university education is going to benefit you and you think that money is going to be well spent, then spend it. I got no problem with people going to university. If they want to go and spend the money, then do it. There should be grants available, and there are, for people from disadvantaged backgrounds, so they can attend university if they've got the grades good enough to get in. Which leads me to, how do people get into university? Is it all grade based? Now, what we've seen in the US just recently with the upper echelon schools, the Yales and the Harvards and those kind of schools, Eton here in the UK, it's less about how good you are in your entrance exam results. It's more about who you know, who your parents are, what connections you have to be able to get into that university in the first place. There is a big thing in the US where wealthy families, like politicians' children, who couldn't possibly make it into university on their own merits, the politicians have used their sway and influence and money to be able to get them into those schools, because they know They know that the university is less about the education and more about the connections you make while you're there. So, you know, you've gone to Yale, you've gone to Harvard. You are in meeting all those people who are the future politicians, who are the future world leaders, not because they're smarter than anybody else, and I'll come back to that, but because it's all about the connections, and it's all about who you know, not what you know. And you think that I'm wrong in that? Okay. So we have politicians, we have lawyers, we have, you know, these people who are running the country, running the world essentially. You know, you've got the biggest corporations in the world who attend Davos every year. You know, these people are obviously well educated, very smart. They know how the financial system works. But why isn't it you and I, the average person, doesn't learn about money, doesn't learn about financial markets, doesn't learn any of the important things that we need to know, like the things that would help us and benefit us in the world? Why don't we learn that in school? You know, why are we learning things that we'll never ever use? Why are we taking our time to learn things we'll never use? I mean, sure, we can touch on it because there's going to be people who like mathematics. There's going to be people who are going to, you know, high mathematics after school. And there should be a touch on those subjects because, you know, you don't know what you're going to get the best out of or the most out of until you try it. So I agree that there should be some small form of different mathematics branches, even though you never ever use, I would say probably 95% of it when you go out into the real world. And all the things that you need in the real world, you don't know. No one knows. But that's getting off the track. So these people attend these universities, and very, very smart people, very well educated people apparently, that run the world. You know, politicians, bankers, lawyers, you know, run the heads of CEOs of massive companies that you know, do whatever they do in the world. And we find ourselves in a situation now where the World Economic Forum and WHO and these kind of organisations, non-government organisations, the powers that be, if you will, the heads of corporations, the governments, politicians, bankers, are telling us that this whole climate change agenda is real, and you know, we've ruined the planet. But was it you and I that did that, or was it these politicians that are telling us how we should live and making the rules? These well-educated people making the rules and telling us how to live, and living the very life that they say we shouldn't live. You know, they're travelling around on private jets and doing all these wonderful things that you and I can't do because we can't afford it, because the financial system that they've created has destroyed any opportunity for us to get forward and move forward, unless you go and educate yourself and learn what you don't know from these people who are educated, who have learned from their families, obviously, and learned from their connections, all the things that we don't know. So these people have made the rules, they've lived their own way, who make the rules for the rest of us to live by, and who govern us in a way that they have. They make these rules, and they've created an environment now where they say the world is poisoned, the air, the water, and everything. We have to have a great reset. We have to change everything because everything's broken. Now, these are supposedly highly educated people from some of the best universities in the world. You know, they've paid hundreds of thousands to attend these universities from prominent families. And these people are now telling us, they've been running the world this whole time, okay? Bear that in mind. These are supposedly highly educated people. And now they admit that it's all fucked up. And it's our fault. It's you and me. It's our fault. We did this. The uneducated, unwashed swine that we are. So does anyone see a sort of breakdown in the thinking here, that these supposedly highly educated people have been running the world, and they've run it into the fucking ground? The financial arena, political arena, everything you can possibly imagine, the environment, they've all created these crises, plural, for us to deal with. And it's the average person, the taxpayer, the Joe Blow, the working person who wants to just go out and make a living and look after their family, feed their family, and go about their fucking day without all the bullshit. And these people have created these problems that we have to fix, that we have to pay for. These are educated, highly educated people. So why is that? Why is it that the most educated, the most highly educated, the people who have the best educations in the world from the best universities, why is it that they have created this situation when they're the most educated people in the world? Are they? Are they really? Or do they know something that we don't? Do they know how the world works? Do they know how the financial markets work? Do they know how to manipulate? Of course they do. This is what their education is all about. It's all about the connections to the people who make the decisions, who understand these markets. Because when you start getting into derivatives and in the financial markets and the contracts and the futures and when you start looking into all that, and it's deliberately created so that you don't understand it. Even the people who are in it don't understand fully how it works. They can all tell you, the trends and the patterns and the technical analysis. Of course, we can tell you everything, but they can't. So the most educated people in the world have created these issues. And as we saw in America, these people who are going into these universities, who are supposedly the best people for those places because their entry requirements are so stringent, what's been proven in America is the people who get in there are the people with power, money and influence, and not the people who deserve the place. Now, I'm perhaps old school and a bit stupid in my thinking that, in work for a job, the first person for the job should get the job, regardless of their education level, regardless of their background, their colour, their race, their religion. Who gives a shit about all that? Whoever's the best for the job should get the place. Same as university. And if they come from a background where they don't have money, there should be social programs, and there are. And the universities should have programs in place to help these people get into the universities to do their course, because they're going to be a benefit to society. And I've heard the argument, well, we should have university free because it's a benefit to society. But, the taxpayer shouldn't have to front the bill for someone to go and get an education, even if it is a benefit to society, because at the end of the day, if these people decide that they're going to attend a university, they can. But knowing that going into it, that there's about 10,000 or 15,000 other people that are going to come out of the university the same year that you do, with the same degree that you do, that doesn't guarantee you anything. That piece of paper guarantees you nothing, especially now in the current climate that we live in, the current world that we live in. There's no guarantee of anything. Except maybe going broke if you've got a business, because you can't open your business. We're here in a second lockdown here in the UK that's supposed to lift next week, and I guarantee they'll lock down again because they can, because there's nothing we can do about it. The average person has no say, no influence, no power. But we should, but people are willing to submit to these educated people who make these decisions that have put us in this shit situation in the first place. Now, if education is that important, and they tell us it is, there's been plenty of parents who have been fined for wanting to take their kids out of school to take them on holiday, or to maybe go and see a sick relative or something. And the school has fined those parents for taking their children out to go and do whatever it is, a holiday or whatever it is. Here in the UK, they can fine them, the parents, for taking their children out of school for a day. Now, at the beginning of this year, they closed all the schools here in the UK. So it's all right, COVID. And then they closed all the schools for months. Months! Here we are coming up to a year soon since this nonsense has started. And months the schools were closed. Months and months and months and months and months. But that was okay. That was okay because, COVID. Even though children don't get sick, they don't die from this. The average death age is 84 years old, I think, something like that, 82. But this whole furor is cooked up, and this whole school thing is. I keep coming back to the same point, that the most educated people in the world supposedly have created these issues. And we've always been told, the average person, you and me, have always been told that education is the way forward, and it's the way that you change the future. But really, is it? You're coming out of school with tens of thousands of pounds or dollars, wherever you are in the world, of debt, with a degree that you may as well wipe your ass on, because it doesn't do you any good. If you want to go and be a doctor, then you don't have a choice. You're going to have to go and do a university degree, and that's cool. But, if if you're going and doing an English literature degree or, something that's equally, there's going to be a very small amount of people for those jobs that have anything to do with English literature or, whatever the course is. It's then, what is your earning potential for doing it? And are you really going to get a return on your investment? And if you want to view your education as an investment, then you need a return on that investment. So if you're going to go and do a degree that's, I don't want to say useless, but you know what I mean, useless to a degree, and you're never going to earn any money from it, but you're going to clock up a huge amount of debt. I mean, is that the best course of action? Not my decision to make, it's yours. But, we keep on walking around in circles and saying, we submit to these supposedly educated people, and we've submitted to this, I think, a lie of the only way to get forward, the only way to go forward in this world is to have a university education or a higher education. And I disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly. You've got people like Edward Snowden, like him or loathe him. His parents were in the military, so he never went to school. His entire life was devoted to computers. He was hired by the CIA and the NSA to be a computer programmer. Self-taught. Self-taught. And he was hired by the biggest organisations in the world that run intelligence operations, and this guy was hired, never finished high school, never went to higher education. Look at some of the biggest CEOs in the world. Jamie Oliver, he's dyslexic. Built an empire. I mean, it was built around him. Fair enough, but good on him. He did really, really, really well. I know that Richard Branson's dyslexic as well. There are plenty of educated people who have made it, and there's plenty of uneducated, or not higher educated. Let's not say uneducated, but not higher educated, didn't go to university, people that are very, very successful. And this nonsense that black and brown and minorities are misrepresented. I mean, Asian communities are well represented in universities. But this thing that we have to go to university in order to get forward is a lie. It's a fabrication. I've done very well in my life. I left school when I was 15. Is that the best course of action for everyone? Of course not. We all have to make our own decisions about what's important to us and how we're going to conduct our lives. But this whole scam of telling us the only way to get forward is to go to your higher education university is a lie, and I think that should be talked about and confronted, and our education system in general looked at, especially in wake of what's happening in our world right now. The pace of technology is moving very, very quickly, and I went and did cooking school when I was younger, and the result was, when I came out of cooking school, everything I learned when I went out into the real world, working in real kitchens, I was told, forget everything you learned at college, this is the way we do it in the real world. Now, I can't speak for other careers, but I know some people that have been through engineering degrees that have come out into the world of engineering, and everything they've learned is now outdated because the technology is moving so quickly. The learning on the job, the old school apprenticeships and those kind of things, learning on the job for most careers will benefit you. If you're going learning, let's just say you want to be an engineer. Let's just say, for instance, that's one of those things you're going to need a degree for, right? Let's just imagine you're going and working under one of the best engineers in the world, one of the most progressive, one of the most forward-thinking engineers in the world that doesn't go by traditional engineering standards, has a completely different idea about how to do things, how to build things, and the stress levels and the materials, everything like that. They've got a completely different perspective on how best to do things within that world, and very well respected within the industry, but they're thinking outside the box. Now, does university, does higher education teach you to think outside the box, or does it teach you rote memorization? This is what you need to know. This is what you need to remember. And this is the only way, Now, as someone who hasn't been to university, I'm speaking for something that I've never experienced. So, I could be wrong. Tell me. I'm happy to hear it. I'm happy to debate the subject. Because I think that, the way our curriculum is set up right now, is it really benefiting society? So many people they call it slipping through the cracks of our education system, where they're just going out to the world and filling gaps rather than really being a huge benefit to society. because we've always been led to believe that education is the only way, and I disagree. So, we've all got to make our own decisions about what's important to us. The people who say that the university education should be free, who pays? The taxpayer? Where does the money come from? At the moment, the whole world's shut down. Well, here in the UK anyway. So where's that tax revenue going to come from? When I'm not paying taxes because I'm not working. Businesses are closed. So where does all that money come from? Oh, well, we're just going to spend it from the public purse. Well, if there's no money coming in from the public purse, how does it get paid for? And how is it, how do I benefit by paying for somebody else's education other than my children? If my children want to go to higher education, then great. Good luck to them. If that's what they choose is best for them, then great. But if you don't understand the whole idea behind money creation, then go back and have a look at one of my first videos. It's called, Is Money the Root of All Evil? And when you understand the creation of money and how money is created, then suggesting that the public purse pay for everybody's education or higher education if they want to go to higher education is ridiculous. We have to come up with different ways of how we can tackle this subject of education, higher education especially, going forward, because what are we going to need? What do we need to change the world? And if these institutions, these people with highly educated people have all the answers, then why are we in the predicament we are? We're still using fossil fuels. Why are we in the predicament we are, where they're telling us that we're on the edge of wiping ourselves out? If these people are highly educated, then why do we have all this political turmoil? Why do we have all this scientific turmoil? Why do we have all this stuff that's going on if all these people know what they're talking about? It's a fair question to ask. You have to ask these questions, because if you don't, we're just walking around in circles. We're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And according to Albert Einstein, that's insanity. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So are we doing more of the same with education? Of course we are. We're having educated people teach other people the same thing that they learned. So there has to be a different way that we can do things. And I believe there is. Open learning. Everyone's talking about this new computer-based learning now. Everyone's learning from, learning at home with computers, which is all well and good. Why isn't that free? That could be free. Then you don't have to have the expense of having a university building where people have to attend, and all the expenses that go along with that, where the teachers cost and all those kind of things. Why can't it all be remote learning on the computers? Maybe there is a different way. Maybe there's a better way to do things rather than having a university campus. Maybe there are better ways. Is computer learning the best way to go? I don't know. But these are the questions we need to ask in order for our society to move forward. And if our education systems are corrupted by money and power and influence, then it needs to change. And we all need to be part of that change. And this conversation is part of that. And I ask you to just give me some feedback. If you like what I'm saying, then like it. Hit the like button on the thing there. If you don't, then hit the dislike button. But all this feedback and sharing this information is what we need to do in our society, to start conversations and move ourselves forward, rather than relying on these people that are highly educated, apparently, the politicians, to make decisions for us. We have to start doing things for ourselves. So that's our subject for today. Obviously I could go on 1,000 different tangents, but realistically, that's the questions we need to know. Is this the best way that we can do things? And if it's not, what can we do to make it better? I welcome your feedback. So just to finish on a good note, there are positive things happening in the world, and I don't want you to get down and down in the dumps and disappointed and upset about the ways that things are being handled in the world, because there are people standing up and saying no more. Things have to change. If you want to be part of that conversation, then please share information that resonates with you, and start conversations with other people, because it's only through that conversation and real hearing each other that we can make steps forward, rather than just keep on making the same sort of mistakes over and over again. All right? I hope you all have a wonderful day. Enjoy the sunshine if you have somewhere you are. I know I do, and I will. Have a wonderful day. Get out there, share some love. Meet up with some people. Hug each other, kiss each other, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, and I shall look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care. Bye.